If you look at the top of this video and you look at the title, In God I Trust, you'll probably be a bit confused, especially if you've looked at my profile. You know I'm an atheist, and you'll wonder what business has an atheist got trusting in a God in which he doesn't believe. Well, let me put it this way. I am an atheist because name a God, any God, and I am pretty damn sure that that God doesn't exist. Jehovah, no. Allah, no. Vishnu, no. Don't exist. And why I'm so sure that they don't exist, beyond any reasonable doubt, is that if you look at the history of the images of God as they've been written down or passed on through the generations, it is pretty clear that it's based on an ancient mythology and has been evolving over time in the minds of the humans who have been passing them on. And as a result, they cannot be anything other than human inventions. Therefore, even if there is a God, and I am acknowledging all the arguments against an intelligent designer and the complications that that sort of idea brings, but I also acknowledge that there might be certain really esoterical sort of scenarios where something could exist that from our perspective would be indistinguishable from a God. For example, if we were to run if our reality was something running in what from a higher perspective would be a virtual reality scenario, then the person twiddling the knobs of our reality from our perspective would be indistinguishable from a God. So I acknowledge that sort of remote possibility, even though there's absolutely no reason why I would ever lead any part of my life based on that premise. But acknowledging that, then, what do you do? Because it is clear that none of the images portrayed by any of the established religions can possibly be correct. So we're left with this conundrum of, okay, imagine there is a God, and that it has, first of all, the interest in what I am up to, and the potential to reward me in any sort of way, even by, for example, extending my life or giving me eternal life or whatever you want to call it. And then what am I to do, even when accepting that possibility? Obviously none of the moral codes or prescriptions or rituals or whatever prescribed by the main religions are valid. They're null and void. So the only thing I can do is basically trust that if such an entity exists, that it will have the basic decency to accept that given the circumstances and the lack of evidence, I have no other choice than to not believe in it, and therefore that is a valid position for me to take. And that is trust. The trust that you'll be done right by, because I have no other option. I cannot pretend I believe, and therefore the only thing I can do is say, well, if you're there, I hope you will just take me as I am. And I think that is the definition of trust. To put yourself on the line without knowing what might happen, but only hoping that whoever has the potential to affect you at that point in time has the decency not to squash you like a bug. So therefore, in God I trust. But let's be frank about this. Your God doesn't exist. if you're a believer watching this. And I very much doubt that there's anything like a God. But if there is, I trust.